Hi guys, good day.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
Morning, good morning. Today we will be doing some probability. Okay. Let me just arrange everything I have. Yeah, let's start with the question. Why not? A leap year is selected at random. Okay, the question is a leap year is selected at random. What is the chance it will have 53 Tuesdays? 53 Tuesdays. Oh my god, spelling. A leap year is selected at random. What is the probability it will have 53 Tuesdays? What is the probability? There are 366 days, right? In a leap year. So that's 52 into 7 plus 2, right? 50 into 7 is 350, 52 into 7 will be 364, 364 plus 2 is 366. Okay, so this means there are 52 of each day present for sure. The extra 2 days, what is the probability that one?
It can be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, like that.
Thursday, Friday. Yes, you're absolutely right. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So 7 options are there for this. Okay, for this to happen, for these 2 places to be filled, there are 7 ways in which this can happen. All right, from which 2 of them have Tuesday in it. So basically, you're looking at 2 by 7 as your answer. Following, guys?
Yes, sir.
All right, now 6 dice are thrown simultaneously. Okay, I'm not giving any context in doing it because all of you have passed 11th. All right, so 6 dice are thrown simultaneously. Find the probability all show the same face. Find the probability all show different faces. Probability exactly 3. So same face and remaining 3. Show different faces. At least 4. Show the same face. Okay, let's begin. What are the total number of possibilities? Tell me that. What are the total number of possibilities? The 6 dice being thrown. What are we looking
6
at?
per 6, sir.
2 and
6
6
per
per
6.
6.
6 per 6. Okay. Each die has 6 options. Think like that. Okay. Each dice has 6 options. Right. So that's why 6 per 6. Okay. Now, what is the probability all of them show the same face? The first one. You're doing that now. How many ways are there in which all of them can show the same face? 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3.
6 ways, sir.
There are 6 ways. From these 6 per 6 ways, basically my answer becomes 1 by 6 per 5. Okay. Guys, are all of you following? Any doubts here?
No, sir.
No, sir.
All right. Okay. Now, all show different faces. What do you do here?
It will be 1 minus 1 by 6 power 5.
Okay, this is wrong. Okay, so here 1 minus 1 by 6 power 5 is when all do not show the same face. Okay,
Yes, sir.
right.
I got it now.
There's a difference there between that and all showing different faces. Understanding? Like they can be like 5 6s and 1 3. So here all do not show the same face. So that comes under 1 minus 6, 1 by 6 power 5. Okay. All show different faces. For that, how many options are there? So first die can take any of the 6 values. The second die can take any remaining 5 values. The third die can take any 4 values. Like this, it continues. Divide by total 6 power 6. This 6 factorial divided by 6 power 6. Got this?
Yes,
Any
sir.
doubts, guys? Any doubts? Any doubts?
So why doesn't 1 minus 6 power 5 work? 1 by 6 power 5 work?
That's because here this means all do not show same face. Okay. Basically, like if I get the numbers 2, 2, 1, 1, 1,
Oh, sir. So
and
basically it can
4,
mean
3.
second and third, so same face, but first 1, 3, 4, 5, 6 don't.
Second and third?
May show same face. That's what you're saying.
No. I'm just saying that all look. This one you're talking about, right? The second part.
Yes, sir.
All
Yes.
show different faces. So here, why is this not the right answer? That was your question, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm just making sure, okay, if I'm answering, we're on the same page. Okay, so all show different faces is the question, which means it cannot repeat. Like I can get values when I throw the 6 dice. I can get like this 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 1, something like that. All are different. But the second I get 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 1, what is the problem? 3 is happening twice. I need all showing different faces. Okay, so but this comes under this. All do not show same face. So one is same face, that is 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, or 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, like that. But that is given by 1 by 6 power 5. Now, when that does not happen, that includes all these cases, right? When all show different faces and some might repeat, but all should not be the same. Okay. But our question asked is all should be specifically different. That is why we're taking 6 factorial in the numerator. Are you
Yes.
following this, Srivachan?
Yes, yes, got it.
Okay, it's a language thing. Okay, I understand. Okay, but it's a language thing. You have to be extra careful. All show different faces. Okay, and all are not the same. They are different things. Okay, like you do a couple of problems like this, you'll get the hang of it. Okay, this is what they are asking. Now, exactly 3 show the same face, and the remaining 3 show different faces. How many ways is that possible?
6 power 3 into 5 power 3 by 6 power 6.
Power 3 into 5 power 3 divided by 6 power 6. Can you please explain the logic behind that?
So the first one shows any of the 6 faces, so it's 6. And the second one also shows any of the 6. So it can be 6 into 6 into 6. And then there are only 5 options left for the other 3. So it's 5 into 5 into 5.
No, not like that, not like that. So 3 should show the same face, right? Okay. So it can either be 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5, or 6, 6, 6. So total only there are 6 options there for 3 showing the same face, not 6 cube. Understanding this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, but for a single dice, it should be for only 6, right?
Yeah. So I'm saying, like, if you're rolling 3 dice and it said that 3 of them have to be the same value, basically you're picking one number from 1 to 6, no? Basically, that's what you're doing. And then filling it up. It can take only one value is what they're saying. So from 1 to 6, you pick a number. Suppose you pick 4. Then the number you're talking about is 4, 4, 4. So basically, you only have 6 options. to fill it in a way that they'll have one number, the same number.
Yes, understood.
Understood
Yes.
this?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'll basically do is, like 3 should be the same. Okay. And then, once again, 3 should be different, right? So the 3 same, I'll pick a number here. From the 6 digits I have available, okay, from 1 to 6, I'll pick a number here and put it there. Okay, is that clear? All right. So
Yes.
I'm not arranging them yet. Okay, I'm not telling which die is which. But I'm just putting it there. 6 are here. Okay. Now, the 5 digits that are there, right? That are remaining. So from them, from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I picked 1 digit. Okay, suppose I picked 3. Then there are remaining 5 digits left, right? Okay. So from those 5 digits, I pick 3 of them that are different. Okay. If I pick 6, can I pick 3 again? Can I pick this 3 again? No, because more than 3 will happen to be the same. I need exactly 3 to be the same and 3 to be different. All right. So from 6, I pick 1, which I'll place here. And from 5, I'll pick 3, which I'll place here. Okay. Okay, guys. Now what do? I arrange these, right? I tell them which die is which. The first die is which. The second die is which. The third die is which. Okay. So once I pick these digits, I can arrange them. All right. In how many ways can I arrange them? 6 factorial by 3
4
factorial. Okay. There are 6 digits here from which 3 are repeating. Right, guys? There's 6
Yes.
digits here. Okay. From which 3 are repeating. So I'll take care of it by 6 factorial by 3 factorial. And I divide this whole thing by 6 power 6. And this will be the correct answer. All right. Guys, I hope you're following this. 6 factorial by 3 factorial is 720 divided by 6, which is 120. And then this is 6. 5C3 is 10. 6 power 6 will have, okay, 120 is 6 into 20. So 2 6s go. We get 200 divided by 6 power 4. Okay. Can you factorize further? Yes, you can. It's an even number. So it becomes 200 is divisible by 8. No, it's divisible by 4. 40 into 5. Yeah, it is 80. It is divisible by 8. So 8 into 25. So it's 5 square remaining. And then 3 cube. And then 6 square. This will be around, no, sorry, 6. All right. This will be your answer. We get 25 by 27 into 6, which comes out to 162. 25 by 162 will be your answer. Okay, got how this is done? I think not this calculation and all, you leave it. I just did it for my fun. But okay, now what is the last part of the question? At least 4 of them show the same face. What do you do here? At least 4 of them should show the same face. At least 4 should show same face. What do? You break it down into cases. Okay, there are 6 places from which 4 should show the same face. Then there'll be another place which 5 should show the same case. And then the last one would be where all 6 show the same face. So we know that all 6 show the same face in 6 ways. 5 show the same face in, I pick from these 6 one digit, which will repeat 5 times. And from the remaining 5 digits, I'll pick one. That'll be there once. And these 6 digits will be arranged in 6 factorial by 5 factorial number of ways. This is 6 into 5 into 6. Okay. 6 into 5 into 6 is 36 into 5, which is 180. Yeah. Again here, 61 ways to pick the 4 that repeat. And from the remaining 2, From the remaining 5, I pick 2, which will be different. Okay. So I arrange this in 6 factorial by 4 factorial ways. And then, okay, so how many ways is this? There is 6, there is 10, and there is 6e2. No, sorry, 6p2. So that is 30. Okay, so this is 300 into 6, which is 1800. Now adding both 1980, 1986 divided by 6 power 6. Is this divisible by 6? Yes, it is. So this is 6 into 3, 3, 1. And it becomes 331 divided by 6 power 5. That becomes your final answer. Got what was done here? Guys, any doubts? Are you able to apply this directly?
Yes, sir.
Varun, are you following?
Yes, sir.
Aditi?
Yes, sir.
All
Sir,
right.
from where did 331 come?
331 come, 6 into 331 is 1986. If this calculation is correct, then this is correct. All right. 1800 plus 180, 1980, 1986. Yeah.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. So, yeah, let's do the next question. Okay, write this question down. 20 tickets are numbered from 1 to 20. 20 tickets, basically, 1 to 20 bracket. One ticket is drawn at random out of these tickets. So one ticket is drawn at random. What is the probability, find probability, that ticket number is a multiple of 2 or 5? That ticket number is a multiple of 2 or 5. So what would you do here?
Sir, sorry, can you just repeat the question again?
Yes. 20 tickets are numbered from 1 to 20. One ticket is drawn at random. Find the probability that the ticket you pick has a multiple of 2 or 5. Find the probability that the ticket you pick is a multiple of 2 or 5. So A is the event that the ticket is a multiple of 2. B is the event that the ticket is a multiple of 5.
20 by,
Again.
12 by 20.
12 by 20 is right. Yes. In terms of 2. Yeah, correct. So how do we deal with this problem? We need this to be a multiple of 2 or a multiple of 5. Okay. So that is basically probability of A or B. So how do I find this? Probability of A
plus
probability
B.
of B minus probability of A intersection B. Anybody who doesn't know what this is? Anybody? Okay.
We know it's sir.
All right. Okay, sorted. So probability of A would be what? Even numbers, 1 by 2. Probability of B, every fifth number. So there is 5, there is 10, there is 15, there is 20. So there's 4 by 20, which is what? 1 by 5. Minus probability of A and B, which should be a multiple of 2 and a multiple of 5, which means 20 or 10 are the two options. That's 2 by 20, which is 1 by 10. So make the common denominator 10. This becomes 5. This becomes 2. This becomes 1 itself. This is 6 by 10. In other words, 3 by 5. Any doubts in this problem?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, here's a tougher question. Odds in favor of event A are 2:1. and odds in favor of event A union B are 3:1. Find the range for probability of event B. Okay, you know what odds are? So odds in favor of A is basically number of favorable cases divided by number of unfavorable cases. If you divide it by the total number of cases for both, it will become probability of favorable cases divided by probability of unfavorable cases. Okay, this becomes the odds. Guys, are you following? What odds are? Odds in favor of A, odds in favor of event A is number of cases that are favorable to A divided by number of cases unfavorable to A. Or in other words, it can be written as probability favorable to A divided by probability unfavorable to A. All right. So now, what is given here in the question? Probability of A divided by probability of A dash. Okay, which is not A. It will be 2:1. So I can say that probability of A equal to 2 into probability of A dash. Okay, and what is probability of A dash? That is 1 minus probability of A. That's the idea, guys. So from here, you can find the probability of A directly. So you get 3 into probability of A equal to 2, which means probability of A is 2/3. Okay, probability of A happening to probability of A not happening is 2:1. That's given. So which means probability of A happening will be 2/3. So remember it like this. Probability of A will be 2 divided by 2 plus 1. Think like that. Okay. 2 divided by 2 plus 1. That 2 plus 1 is nothing but A and A not happening. Total number of cases. All right. So what else is given in the question? That odds in favor of A union B. Okay. A union B is 3:1. Okay. So here I can say that probability of A union B will be 3/3 plus 1, which is 3/4. Okay. What is probability of A union B? Probability of A. The probability of B minus probability of A intersection B. Guys, are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay, probability of A is 2/3. Probability of B minus probability of A intersection B will come out to 3/4 minus 2/3, which is something by 12. What by 12? Let's find that out. It becomes 9 minus 8. It becomes 1/12. Probability of B minus probability of A intersection B is 1/12. We have two sets, A and B. Now, probability of A minus probability of A intersection B will be 1/12. Okay, that's the area. Sorry, probability of B minus probability of A intersection B, which is this blue color shaded area, will be given to be 1/12. Now, how do we find the range of probability of B from this? You have to understand that probability of A intersection B can move from 0 to the probability of B itself here in this case. Okay, so this white shaded area can either take no area inside B or can take the whole area inside B. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so use this logic. All right, use this logic. Or you can say the probability of A intersection B can take the entire area of A, because we know what probability of A is, we can use that. Okay, we can do this also. You can say this is less than or equal to probability of A itself. So this entire area, we can take A intersection B. And because we know probability of A, let's use that only. Okay, so what is probability of A intersection B here? 1 by, probability of B minus 1 by 12 greater than 0, less than probability of A. What is probability of A? We already have that as 2 by 3. So probability of B is between 1 by 12 and 2 by 3 plus 1 by 12, which becomes 8 by 12 plus 1 by 12, which is 9 by 12, which is 3 by 4. We can say that the probability of B is between 1 by 12 and 3 by 4. I hope all of you understood this. It was a little tougher than the previous problem, but because they're asking for the range, and I introduced what odds are to you. That's the main reason why it might seem tough. But once you understand what odds are, it's a probability question, simple probability question. What's going on?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, what are mutually exclusive events? Two events are said to be mutually exclusive when
Sir, A intersection B zeros.
exactly they are exclusive. They don't intersect at all. So this will be A and B will be away from it. Okay. So this will be a set of mutually exclusive events. Now, what are independent events? You have to understand the difference very carefully. Independent events.
The P of A and P of B equal to P of A intersection B.
Okay, P of A intersection B is P of A into P of B. Basically, the idea is if one occurs, the probability of the other one occurring does not change. Okay. All right. So this is the idea of independence. This is the idea of mutually exclusive. Okay. So P of A intersection B intersection C, if there are three events that are independent, then what do you say? This will be P of A into P of B into P of C. Okay. If they are mutually exclusive, this is what happens. All right. Now, okay, write the question down. A candidate has to appear in an exam in 3 subjects. Okay, exam with 3 subjects, 1 candidate. Okay, 3 subjects are English, math, and physics. The probability of passing these subjects, are 0.5, 0.7, 0.9 respectively. Find the probability that he passes at least 1 subject. He passes exactly 2 subjects. Find the probability that this happens. Okay. The person has to write an exam in 3 subjects with passing probability is given. To find the probability he passes at least 1 subject and find the probability he passes exactly 2 subjects. Passes at least 1 subject will be passing English or math or physics, right? What does this come out to? P of A. What is P of A union B union C? What is this? P of A plus P of B plus P of C minus P of A B intersection B minus P of B intersection C minus P of A intersection C plus P of A intersection B intersection C. Right. Now,
So
him passing
directly
in,
we can put that P of A into P of B into P of C and they're independent.
So P of A into P of B into P of C is what?
Oh, sorry, intersection.
It's this part. It's this part. You will use it.
Ah,
You
yes,
will
sir,
use
yes.
it. Yes, you will use it. Right, you're correct only. But you'll use it here. Okay. I think you meant you'll use it here, right? But you'll actually use it in this part on the RHS. Okay.
So
So
upon
what?
whatever return for each and every term, you have to put like P of A intersection B, now P of A into P of B. We have to put it like that, like for each and every.
Correct. Since like you pass in English, you pass in maths, they're not dependent on each other, right? All right. You pass in physics, they're not dependent on each other. Okay. Unless you copy from the same person, right? Like that's the only case in which it's dependent. Okay, for all the exam. Nothing like that happens. Okay, then only it becomes dependent.
Will it be given in the exam? It's independent or not?
No, you'll have to kind of figure that out. So mostly they won't give. So if they say event A and event B are there, and then they'll have to mention in those cases. But when they give actual cases, like a person is walking from A to B, and then like a person falls down. So then you have to calculate are they independent or not. They are independent. Okay. Unless they mention something, the road is slippery and he has a probability of falling like this, it's actually an independent event. So you'll have to figure that out.
Sir,
Okay.
nah, sir, this is a lengthy method, sir. But can you like put like for at least one like 0.5 into 0.7 into 0.9 plus 0.3 into H plus 0.3 into 0.5 into 0.9 like that for each and every case. Can you like add them up and then get the answer?
You're adding more items, no, now.
Yes, sir. I know, sir. I know it's lengthy. Sir.
But
You're correct.
yeah. So that is individual cases. You're breaking the problem down to its truest form, basically. Okay. You're breaking it down to each and every case that's possible. Okay. Suppose this bugger, passes only in English. Okay. Then he passes in English, fails in math, fails in physics. Then suppose this fellow passes only in math. Then he passes in math, fails in English, fails in physics, and then only physics. Then he passes in English and math and physics, English and physics, and then he passes in all the three together. So you're adding all these cases together. That is actually breaking the problem down into its truest form. That's what you're doing. You will get the same answer. Okay. So P of A plus P of B plus P of C comes out to 1.6, 2.1 minus P of A intersection B is 0.35 minus P of B intersection C is 0.63 minus 0.45 plus 0.63 into 0.5, 0.315. Okay. So this becomes 2.1 plus 0.315 is 2.415 minus this, and this becomes minus 0.8 minus 1.43. Okay. This becomes.
So why did you add 0.315, sir?
Plus P of A intersection B intersection C.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was minus. Okay, sir.
Get this as 15 will be there. 85. Okay. So now he has to pass in exactly two subjects, right? The next part, passing in exactly two subjects. What do we do here? P of A intersection B or P of B intersection C or P of C intersection A minus P of A intersection B intersection C, where he passes in all the three. Okay, so we had numbers as 0.5, 0.7 and 0.9. Yeah. So this becomes 0.35 plus 0.63 plus 0.45, which together is 1.43 minus 0.315 becomes 1.1. No. P of intersection B intersection C So minus 3 into P of A intersection B intersection C. That's what happened here. That's the mistake I made here. Okay, it's minus 3 into this. We are looking for cases where only they pass in exactly 2 of them. Okay, so when I add A intersection B, I am adding this middle part. And then when I add B intersection C and C intersection A, I'm adding the middle part again thrice. And I need that removed. Okay, so it's this plus this plus this minus 3 into A intersection B intersection C. Right? So this becomes 1.43 minus 0.945. So that is 0.43 plus 0.55 is 0.485, 0.05, sorry. You get your answer as 0.485. Any doubts here, guys?
For this question, can I do it by other method, sir? Because only 3 cases I'm supposed to take for exactly 2.
Wait, what was the other method? I forgot.
No, sir, like just taking 0.5 into 0.7 into 0.1, like for each and
0.5,
every case.
Yes, sir.
0.7.
Then plus 0.5 into 0.9 into 0.3.
Yes.
We just calculate into 0.9 into 0.3. What is the next
I
case?
got the same answer only.
Plus 0.5 into 0.9 plus 0.7.
It should give the same answer logically, but I need to verify. Otherwise, like I won't get 0.5 into 0.9
Sir, I
into
got the
0.7.
same
No?
answer only. Yes, sir.
Same answer you're getting.
Yes, sir.
Okay. 5 into 9 into 3 is 135. So 0.135. 5 into 7 into 1 is 35. So 0.035. 5, okay. 63 into the 315. Add all of them up. 4, 8, 5. Yes. Same answer. Okay. Correct. All right. Now, do this question. If A and B are independent events, if A and B are independent events of a random experiment such that P of A intersection B equal to 1 by 6 and P of A dash intersection B dash equal to 1 by 3. Find P of A. What do we have here? I'll take P of A. Okay, I need to find P of A into P of B will be 1 by 6. Now, P
Sir,
of A
can
dash.
we apply the De Morgan's laws?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes, I like how you're thinking. Nice. So 2 answers are possible, guys. Any doubts here, guys? I took P of A as X. So P of B, I took it as some other quantity Y. Basically, for my question, I have two equations in X and Y. Okay. Xy equal to 1 by 6. And here I wrote that as 1 minus X into 1 minus Y equal to 1 by 3. I'm simply solving for both. I substitute Y equal to 1 by 6X into the second equation. And then I get a quadratic. And then I solve. I get X equal to 1 by 2 or 1 by 3. All right. So the idea is when X is equal to 1 by 3, Y will be equal to 1 by 2. And when X is equal to 1 by 2, Y will be equal to 1 by 3. That's what happens.
Sir, can you just scroll up, sir? I think I made a mistake in calculation.
Yes, please, yes. So this one, I simply multiplied both of these by minus 1, X minus 1 into Y minus 1, I made it here, okay, into this step. And instead of Y minus 1, I wrote it as 1 by 6X minus 1. That was actually unnecessary, but I just did that. Okay, copy it down, all of you. I really hope so. Let's move on to the next problem. Anyway, the three urns A, B, C. Urn A contains 4 white and 5 blue black balls. Urn B contains 4 white and 3 blue. Urn C contains 2 white and 4 blue. Okay, 4 white and 3 blue. So one ball is drawn from each. One ball is drawn from each of these urns. What is the probability, fine probability, that out of these 3 balls drawn, 2 are white and 1 is blue? Okay, Start this question. Two are white, one is blue. What is it?
Sir, and 2 white, 1 blue, it can be in any order. No?
Two white,
1 blue, it can be in any order. No, sir.
two white. Yeah, of course. Yes. Why is that obvious? Because yeah, the balls are the same basically. That's the idea. Four white balls in A which look the same that way. In each of these, you'll pick one. That's what happens.
Sir, is it 13 into 60?
13 into what? Come again?
13 into 60.
Yeah, we are looking for the probability. It will be a value between 0 and 1. You mean 13 by 60?
No, sir, I didn't calculate the denominator.
Oh, okay. Wait, so how did you reach 13 into 60? Can you please just explain?
So basically from on A, we can pick 2 balls from like in 4 ways. So it's 4C2 plus and from on B, it's
From
4C2.
an A, you can pick how many balls?
2 white balls.
No. One ball is drawn from each urn. Okay.
Sir, I'm getting the answer as 64 by 189.
So I'm
4
getting
by
31 by 60, sir.
31 by 60. They all sound like nice answers. Just give me a second. Let's start solving. So yeah, you have urn A, B, and C. What did A have? Tell me. A had
4 white
Four white?
balls.
4 white, 5.
B had
4
No.
white and 5.
4 and 3, 2 and 4. Okay, thanks. 4 and 3, 2 and 4. Okay. Now, we need 2 whites and 1 blue. So this can be done in the following ways. Like, you select one ball from A. Okay, you select one from A, you select one from B, and you select one from C. So suppose the white is from A, and the white is from B, and then blue is from C. This is the probability of one case. Or white is from A, blue is from B, and white is from C. That's another case. Or probability of blue from A, white from B, and white from C. All of them are independent. All of them should happen. And independently, they should happen at the same time. So you know what to do, right? Probability of white in A. What's the probability of white in A? 4 by 9 into probability of white in B. You can see they're independent. So I just multiply the probabilities into this part. Probability of B, blue in B. So that will be 3 by 7. And probability of blue in C, which is 4 by 6. Plus probability of white in A, 4 by 9. And 4 by 7. and 2 by 6, right, plus 5 by 9, 4 by 7, sorry, 3 by 7, and 4 by 6. We get 9 into 7 into 6, common denominator, which is 63 into 6. What is 63 into 6? 378. Okay. And then,
Then I have
what do we have?
doubts.
Yeah.
Sir, in the first one also should be 2 by 6 only, no, sir. Like, instead of because you're drawing a wide from that.
In the first one, it should be 2 by 6 where the?
Sir, in the first term, 4 by 9 into 3 by 7 into.
4 by 9 means you're taking white from A.
Yes,
So
sir.
that is
Then
4
you're
by 9.
taking blue from B and then you're taking
No, no,
white
no, no,
from.
no. You're taking white from B. You're taking white from B. Then you're taking blue from C in the first term.
Sir,
You're
you've
taking blue
given
from B and
4
white from
whites
C in
and.
the second term.
Sir, sir, you're taking, that means it must be 4 by 7 now, sir, because 4 whites and 3 balls are there in B. Either
Oh,
one of them has
that'll
to
be
be.
4 by 7. Correct. What you're saying is right, Leader. It's 4 by 7. 4 by 7. And this will become 3 by 7. Yes. And this will come back to 4 by 7. Correct. You're taking white from B. Correct. Yes. That's how it will be. So then blue from C will be 4 by 6, and 2 by 6. Okay, so 4 cube is 64. 4 into 3 into 2 is 24. And 16 into 5 is 80. You have 88 plus 80, which is 168 divided by 378. It is divisible by 2. So this becomes 84 divided by 9. We can divide it by 7, can't we? So this becomes.
Sir, in the third term also it's 4 by 7 into 2 by 6 now.
4 by 7 into
2
by
yes, sir.
6.
It's 2
You're
by
right. It's 2 by 6. It is 2 by 6. So many calculation mistakes today. Nice. So this 80 becomes what number? 80 becomes 40. Okay. So 168 becomes 128. So 84 becomes 64. And then no dividing by 7. So 64 by 189 is good enough. Okay, this becomes your answer. All right. Any other doubts here? The calculation and all, let it be. But do you understand the idea how to solve? That's the important part. All right.
Yes, sir.
Is the logic clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then let's move ahead to the next problem. Problem says A and B. Okay, write the question on. A and B alternately throw a pair of dice. Alternately throw a pair of dice. A wins if he throws 6 before 7. Okay, A wins if he throws 6 before B throws 7. A wins if he throws 6 before B throws 7. And B wins if he throws 7 before A throws 6. Okay. Find their respective probabilities of winning if A begins. Okay, it seems like it's 1 by 2, but that's not the case. That's why I'm giving you the
Sir,
total.
and B wins when?
Okay. A and B alternately throw a pair of dice. A wins if he throws 6 before B throws 7. And B wins if he throws 7 before A throws 6. Okay. Find the respective chance of them to of winning if A begins.
So probability or A wins, sir.
Hmm?
So the question is probability of A winning.
Like the remaining is the probability of B winning, right? So it's okay. Find one of them. Find the probability of A winning if A begins. A begins. That's the important part. Find the probability that either of them win. Okay, so how do we deal with this problem? So A has to throw 6 and B has to throw 7. This much we understand. Okay. A has to throw 6 if he has a chance of winning, and B has to throw 7 if he has a chance to winning. Whoever throws that first will win. Okay. So 6, how can it come? It can be 1, 5, can be 2, 4, can be 3, 3, can be 4, 2, or 5, 1 when he throws a pair of dice.
Oh, sir.
And B,
So 6 means the sum should be 6, sir.
yeah, which dice has 7 on it? All right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. No problem. But now you got it. Start doing it. So 2, 5, 3, 4, 4, 3, 5, 2, and 6, 1. Okay, so total there'll be 36 ways of throwing a pair of dice. From them, these are the cases you're looking for. So probability of A throwing 6, I'll call it P of A, will be what? 5 by 36. Probability of B throwing 7 will be what? 6 by 36, which is 1 by 6. We have this much. Okay, I'm leaving it at this. Now tell me, what do you do? Probability of A winning. Probability of A winning. Let's find that. How do you do this?
Sir,
A has
first
to throw 6 first. Yeah, yes, Varun, what did you ask?
sir, like in the first term, it must be 5 by 36
Yes, sir.
plus
Uh-huh.
11 plus 31 by 36 into 5 by 6 into 5 by 36. Like so that A wins
Yeah.
after.
Lovely. That's enough. I've heard what I wanted to hear. Okay, correct. Okay. So what was the logic here? The base logic here, the basic logic here in this. Understood the correction, but what is the logic here? Tell me, Varun.
Sir, actually, while writing the expression, I'm like getting an infinite JP, sir.
Exactly, that's what you get. But can you tell me the logic here? That's what I'm asking.
Sir, so it's like A can either win in the first. A can either win in the first toss itself, or else it has to be that and then if A does not put it in the first toss, that means that for A winning, B also should not put it in the first toss.
Correct. And then
So then
A
after
should
that A can win.
correct. Or then what is the next case? P of A not putting, then B
A not
doesn't
putting,
put
then B not
6,
putting, then A not put,
and then
A does not
A
put,
doesn't
then
put,
B does not put.
then B decides not to put. See, A and B not putting is one set happening, and then immediately next chance A can put. Okay. So one round happens, nobody puts 6 or 7. A doesn't put 6, B doesn't put 7. That's what I meant. Okay. One round happens. Then what? Next round, that is where A should put. That is what this case is. Now, this case is 2 rounds happening, and then A should put. Next case is 3 rounds happening. All right. Okay, I'm going to write it raised to 3. It doesn't mean anything, but I hope you get the idea. And then A should put, and so on. Okay. So this is how you find the probability. Okay. Then this infinite number of games can happen, and then A should put. Okay, you get what's happening, right? So probability of A putting it is 5 by 36. Okay. Probability of A not putting is 31 by 36. And at the same time, B should also not put. So there is a 5 by 6 here. into 5 by 36. That is where A puts. Now, plus probability of 31 by 36 into 5 by 6 is one round of both not putting. Okay. 31 by 36 into 5 by 6 is one round of them not putting. Here we see two rounds of them not putting, and then A should put plus 31 by 36 into 5 by 6. There will be three rounds of that happening, and then A should put, and so on. Okay. Now I want you to recognize a GP. Okay. This GP will have 5 by 36 as its first term, A by 1 minus R. What is R? 31 by 36 into 5 by 6. Okay, what is 31 into 5? 155. 36 into 6, 216. 216 minus 155 is 61. Okay, so this becomes 5 by 36 into 61 divided by 216. 36 and 216 gives me 6. It becomes 30 by 61. Okay, so 30 by 61, you check. 30 by 61 is the correct answer here. Okay. So probability of B winning is what? How do you find the probability of B winning? So similarly, probability of B winning is probability of A not putting and then B winning plus probability of A not putting, B not putting, A not putting, and then B winning, and so on. Okay, so you'll get another GP there. That will come out to what value? 31 by 61. So you can see here that B has a slightly higher chance of winning. Okay. So you can say the game is rigged in the long term. Okay, guys, got this much? There is no response from your side. I'm talking to a brick, okay?
Yes, I got it, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, yeah, this is about the important part of probability. Then let's look at Bayes' theorem. Okay. For that, first you need to understand conditional probability. Okay, where do we have conditional probability here? Okay. So for conditional probability, okay, for Bayes' theorem, what is this? Okay, you know what Bayes' theorem is? Have you done Bayes' theorem, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is Bayes' theorem? Does it even sound useful? What is it?
Sir,
Tell me what you know.
P of A given E1 is equal to P of E1 given A by P of E1 given A plus P of E2 given A plus P of E3 given A, so on.
P of N given A. Okay. You know what this means?
Sir, it's the opposite now. P of E1 given A. Oh, gee, A given E1.
Okay, fine. Does it seem like a useful theorem to know?
No, sir.
All right. So why do we even use this? Where do we even use this? So the idea is this: you start from somewhere. You have different outcomes coming on. Okay, 2, O3, O4, all the way up till On. Okay, so these are the E1, E2, E3s. These are the possible events. Okay, and then you reach one target. Okay, you reach one target. Okay, guys. So this is the So this is the base. So this is the base event that happens. Okay. You reach a target and you need to find the probability. So this target happens. Okay. So there is some probability for that target to happen. Okay. So these are these many ways in which you can reach the target. The thing you're finding is you're kind of backtracking. Through which route did you get this target happen? So basically, what is the probability of O2 happening given that the target has been achieved? Okay, are you following? You are retracing back. That is where this is useful. Okay, so what is the probability of O2 happening given that the target happened? What is the probability that the target happened? So it's given that a target happened. What is the probability it happened through option A or option B or option C? Are you following? Okay, like suppose you passed. Okay, the target is, suppose the target event is you got 80% in a test. Okay, you got 80% in a test. Now, how did you get 80% in a test? Did you write the exam properly? Did you study very hard? Did you copy? Did you copy really smartly? Did you look at the right person's paper at the right time? Like, there are different options through which you can get this 80% mark. Okay. So the idea is through which, what is the probability that, like, you suppose, what is the probability that I copied in the exam, given that I got 80%? So there should be something that would have already happened. Okay. And we are trying to find out through which route did it happen. Okay. All right. So we know that, okay, like I have a probability of 2% to study really hard. I have a probability of 10% to study, give the exam and get 80% as luck. Okay, study decently, give the exam and get roughly 80% luckily. I have roughly 30% chance of copying, suppose. So that is not what is asked. Okay, the question being asked is you got 80%. Now what is the probability that you copy? All right. The probability of you copying roughly will be 30%, let it be. Okay, but the question is, suppose you got 80%. Now what is the probability that you copy? Okay, so these are two different things. That's why probability of A given E1 happened and probability of E1 given A happened. So when we have the other way around, so I have like, I have the probability of getting 80% given that I copied. Okay, but I want to find the probability that I copied given that I already got 80%. Okay, to find the reverse, I'll be using Bayes theorem. Are you following what is happening?
Yes, sir, but it's very confusing.
It is confusing as it is really confusing. This is one. Look, guys, have you heard of Monty Hall problem? Monty Hall problem.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you haven't, please Google it. Okay. Like they say, like this is basic probability, but it really isn't. It's so simple. Like it's hidden. It is so right there in front of you that you can't really see, look at it properly by the math we know. Okay, we'll have to like really think out of the box to get it and really understand the math that's going on to actually get this Monty Hall problem. Please Google it. Please find it out. It's very fascinating. All right. So like that only. And who found this answer to the Monty Hall problem? A school teacher found it. Like after this, look, they made a game show out of it. They literally made a game show out of it. But then there was a bias here. So a school teacher actually found it. Mathematicians, scientists, and all were saying this is wrong. It is not biased. But then upon finding it, like doing recurring experiments again and again, they realized, okay, there is some bias here. Let's check. And then they did the math. Okay. To realize that, okay, we can use Bayes theorem here. All right. Bayes theorem is actually, it actually has unlimited application. But focus on it after your exam. But for the exam, right now, just understand Bayes theorem to backtrack to find those kind of probabilities. All right. So Bayes means target has already happened. So which route did the target happen? That is what it helps find. Okay. So let's do one question. A man is known to speak truth 3 out of 4 times. He speaks truth 3 out of 4 times. Now he throws a die and reports it is a 6. Okay, the guy throws a die and reports 6. Find the probability. It is actually a 6. Find the probability. It is actually a 6. Okay. So you have your person here, P. He can either be truthful or he can lie. Okay. He can be truthful or he can lie. But it's given to me that he will report that it's a 6. He reports a 6. Whether he's truthful or not, he's reporting a 6. Okay. Now, what are we asking? What are we trying to find? Find the probability.
Truth given 6.
The truth given that it is a 6. Are you following? This is what we're trying to find. Okay. Find the probability is telling the truth given that. No, we are trying to find the opposite thing. So what is the probability is, okay, we'll do the explanation later. It's not the problem. What is the probability? Again, what is the probability is telling a truth? 3 by 4 times. What is the probability is lying? Of course, it's 1 by 4. Okay. Now, he throws a die and reports it's a 6. Okay. So, what is the probability? He's telling the truth and he's reporting it's a 6.
Sir,
So, he reports a 6. He gets 6
Sir.
what? 1 by 6 amount of times. So, the target is reached in 1 by 6 ways, given that he's telling the truth. Okay. Along this path, it will be 1 by 6. Now, if he's going along this path, if he's lying,
How so 1 by 6?
there are like from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 has to come for him to be truthful, right? To report a 6.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. Now, no, so this is probability that he gets a 6 given that he's being truthful. Okay.
Yes,
This is
sir.
what I'm basically finding here. Probability he gets a 6 given that he's being truthful. And here,
Probability that it is a
one
6
issue here,
given
right?
that it falls.
We forgot to multiply this by probability of A. Right? No? Huh? Guys? We forgot to multiply this by probability of A, right? Here?
yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. All of you got this? Okay, so this is how it is.
Sir, even in the denominator, sir.
Hmm?
Even in the
Sorry?
denominator, sir.
No, in the denominator, nothing. This is nothing but P of V. That's the idea. P of V, probability of event happening in general.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so now probability of him lying is 1 by 4. So what are the possible ways he can report 6? What's the probability in which he can report 6? I know that 6 is a lie. So which all are the numbers that can come for it to be a lie? Any number from 1 to 5. So this happens in 5 by 6 ways. Understanding till here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what is the probability? He's being truthful. Is 3 by 4. So we'll write everything here. Probability of
Sir,
him
is
being
the answer
truthful
3 by 8?
Hmm?
Is the answer 3 by 8, sir?
No. Wait. Let me just check. I don't think so, but let me check. Probability of truth is 3 by 4. Probability of false is 1 by 4. Now, probability of the result happening. Okay, that he'll report as 6 in total will be what? 3 by 4 into 1 by 6 plus 1 by 4 into 5 by 6. Yes. Probability that he can possibly report a 6 will come after a step, right? Like he decides to say a truth given that he gets a 6. Or he decides to say a lie given that he doesn't get a 6. Okay, so total probability will be 3 by 24 plus 5 by 24 will be what? 3 plus 5 is 8 divided by 24. This is the probability he gets the result. Okay, so the result or the target. This is 1 by 3. Okay. The question I am being asked here is, what is the probability this branch happens? Okay, guys? All right. That is what I'm basically being asked. Okay, what is the probability this branch happens? The probability is actually telling the truth. So the base probability I'm looking for, okay, will be, what is that? 3 by 4 into 1 by 6, which is this branch, divided by this branch plus this branch. Right, and that is what I got here, P of R, which is 1 by 3. What does this become? This becomes 9 by 24. Yeah, it's 3 by 8. I'm so sorry. See, Watson?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's 3 by 8 only. Okay, you're getting 3 by 8. Right. So, did you understand the probability here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so look at this. Probability of the favorable path divided by probability of sum of probabilities of all paths. Okay, so you're trying to find the probability of this path divided by sum of probability of all paths. Okay, find the probability he actually gets a 6. Okay, understood? This is the way where he actually gets a 6. This is all the possible ways he can report a 6. Okay, did you understand what is happening here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So yeah, we'll do a couple of more problems in base and
Sir,
then do
but what
statistics.
is, are we
Yeah.
actually using Bayes theorem over here?
Oh, that is what I'll explain in the beginning of next class. So I want you to try to learn about this, go through Monty Hall problem, try to use it wherever you can, and I'll explain the use of it, where it can be used, how it can be used. Like, okay, I'll tell you where it can be used. It can be used anywhere. It can be used anywhere. Like the idea is you're using it to find the probability when you backtest, right? So you have a result. So you can find which route the result came from. All right. So like you get low marks. All right. So then what do? You will think that, okay, I didn't study, I didn't put effort. But that might not be the case. You should be willing to change your belief. Okay, so you try to backtest and see which is the actual route. What is the probability? Okay, that this happened, that is why I got this marks. This happened, that is why I got this marks. Once you see they're not the main reasons, you understand that the marks you got is basically based on luck. The marks really don't have much meaning. Okay, the idea is you try to improve, and that is the path you will always take. All right, so this application is philosophical even. Okay, the application is crazy for Bayes theorem. All right, but then understanding it is the tough part. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll leave Bayes theorem at this for now. All right, and then explain it beginning in the next class. Okay, so that you guys are fresh and we learn it properly. Okay, we'll do a nice example, nice real life example, and then we'll end the chapter probability. Okay, but then after that, we'll have to move into statistics. Okay, all right, that will be a bit of a pain, but it'll be fun. That's there. And then, yeah, which is the chapter you're all scared of?
How many more topics are there to be covered?
There are quite a few topics. Let me just check.
Sir, complex numbers I'm not able to remember, sir. Plus, I was absent for some classes.
Complex numbers, I took it in 2 classes, right?
Yes, sir. One class I was absent.
Then you missed the class. I just see the recording now.
Sir, still I'm not able to retain it, sir. I'm understanding if I see the questions and answer. But
Look, you don't have time for spaced repetition. Only spaced repetition can help you retain anything. Okay. You have to give it space and then you have to retain it. 2 days you continuously learn complex numbers. You will know complex numbers only for 2 more days. That's the fact. Okay. So you have to give it time and then look at it again. But then right now the time is low. So you make short notes on it and look at the short notes every 3 days. That's the idea.
Okay.
Right. Now, the schedule, 1 second. Get it. There are
Sir,
quite
complex
a
numbers has a lot of weightage, no sir?
Hmm?
Complex numbers has some weightage, sir, no sir?
No. Complex numbers has less weightage, but tougher problems. It's that kind. You can score marks if the questions are easy. I'm talking about JEE Advanced. In Advanced, the problems from complex numbers are generally the toughest. So be careful. But for mains, I think it'll be much easier and you can handle complex number
Okay.
problems.
Okay, sir.
So 1 second. Where I had it, guys. 1 second. Just hold on. Sorry about this. So the topics that are left would be statistics, then mathematical reasoning, integration. Integration, I'm assuming you guys know this already. That's why I didn't touch it at all. Okay, while doing this thing, differentiation and all calculus. Now, straight lines, circles, parabola, ellipse, hyperbola, vectors, and 3D. There's quite a bit remaining. All right. So, which is the topic you're most scared of?
Sir, circles, parabola, hyperbola.
Then let's get to that directly, man. Yeah, we can ignore mathematical reasoning and all for now. So next class we'll do coordinate geometry because that's pretty important for advanced especially. Okay. Because I believe like this is a qualifying exam and you have to kill advanced. That's how the game goes. Okay. This is just a qualifying exam in my eyes at least. But yeah, your goals will be different. Your outlook will be different. So yeah. So advanced is what I think you should focus on. But yeah, first pass through this. So for that, coordinate geometry is pretty important. But you guys know the basic formula CBSE level.
Yes,
At the
sir.
CBSE level, you know the formulas. It's a bunch of more formulas, but it's the same set of formulas applied everywhere. Okay. So that is what I want you to understand, and that is what we'll be focusing on. I'll give you a bunch of formulas. I'll try to prove them and explain them to you in the shortest time possible. Okay. All right. That is basically the chapter. It's like biology, guys. You have to learn everything first. Then only you will start understanding what this is, what that is when you apply it more. Okay. That is coordinate geometry for you in a gist. Okay. So you have to remember the formulas first. See what you can do. Understand your power. Okay. So you know how to find a tangent here. You know how to find a normal here. This is the formula for this. This is the formula for that. And it should be there in the like spaced properly in the head. Like, okay, it should be structured. It should be there, here, and there properly. Okay. Then only you can pull out the right resource at the right time. Okay. Then only it becomes easier to apply. Right. So that's the game. So what I would suggest is start learning the formulas that are there in conic sections, at least at CBSE level. Okay. All right. Just look for comparisons. Know that, okay, from an ellipse to a hyperbola. So ellipse, I'll have a bunch of formulas, which I simply replace b square with minus b square. It suddenly becomes a hyperbola. Like things like that you should realize. But for that, first, you should know the formulas at a basic level. Okay, guys? So focus on that first. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. So the earlier you cram it up in your head, the more opportunity you have to, utilize and understand while you're doing it. All right. So I'll send you problems. So I know I'll make you do problems and then yeah. Okay. We'll do this. Okay, guys.
Yes, sir.
All right. So that's it for today's class. Anyway, take care, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
See you next class.
Sir, even for
Thank you, sir.
3D, like
Yes, sorry,
3D
what did you
கூட
ask?
actually when I'm looking at the problem, it seems like it will be easy, but actually அது என்ன கான்செப்ட் அப்ளை பண்றதுங்கிறது கொஞ்சம் கன்ஃபியூஸ் ஆயிட்டு இருக்கு.
That's it just sounds like lack of practice now. It sounds like clear lack of practice because like the questions will be look, either you saw a very nicely worded question like okay, this question is testing whatever you know properly because you're doubtful what concept is even used. No. So Like what I would suggest is don't think concept wise, read it question and then think how to solve that question alone. Don't figure out, okay, this concept, this thing. There are two types of questions, guys. There are two types of questions. One is concept, like concept in the sense algorithmic, you can say. Like I see this type of a question, I know this is the algorithm to solve it. Okay. So all of you, I feel, believe only in algorithmic questions. When you see a question, you should be able to recognize what this algorithm is. But it's not like that. It's not like that. Most questions are really not like that. That's algorithmic questions are like, say, maximum 30% of the questions you get. The remaining 70% actually require you to look at the question, like grasp it, think about it, spend time, and then figure it out in those 2 minutes. That is where practice comes into play. All right. So when you practice, right, you have to do it slowly. You have to do it patiently. It will feel like your skin is being torn off. It'll feel really painful. But only once you understand the whole thing, right, will you actually get something called satisfaction. Otherwise, you're doing it for the exam you're studying for the next day. And that I feel is a frankly useless practice. Okay. So, guys, are you following what I'm saying?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's okay about this time. This time you're cramming it up. It's like a short course here. But how I really want you to study is take your time. Take your time, sit with the topic, look at it, like feel bored with it, like not with the intention of feeling bored, trying to find something. You find so much, you get frustrated. Like you're not understanding the whole thing, you get frustrated. Like feel that. Once you feel that, only you are actually in the process of learning. Okay. Then automatically you'll become humble. You'll realize you don't know everything. Otherwise, you'll be thinking, this concept is there, that concept is there, this chapter is this only. But that's not the truth for any chapter. Okay, you'll have to think through it. You have to show that presence that, okay, I want to solve. All right. So do that, then only you will automatically become better. Okay, so that's the way to go about it. But yeah, the time doesn't permit. I get that school is like, they have you by your necks. So it is tough, especially for students in Chennai. Like I know that. Like I was studying in Kerala and I had the same problem. My school used to eat me alive. Oh, this guy wants to do IIT. This guy doesn't want to study for school. Like this, they used to speak. All right. But like end of the day, they have their personal agenda. That's why they're pushing it. You have your goals. You have to realize that and then go with that. You just stick to your goals. That's all my advice would be. Okay. All right. On that note, let me just end the class. Okay. Take care, guys. Any doubts you have?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Right. So next class, let's do base and then let's start conics. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. Take care, guys. Take care.